So, Sina, thank you so much for coming and joining us today. We're going to welcome her all the way to For Love of Horror, aren't we? Yes! So much to cover. My goodness, you've created a modern day horror icon. We didn't think we were going to get any new ones. Who's m3gan fans? Make some noise, yes? Lots for you. First of all, how have you found these conventions? Because I know you've already clocked up a couple. How have you found it here today?
I have enjoyed them so much. I find it so fun being able to meet everybody and fans of m3gan, and it's just so fun to be able to see everybody who loves horror conventions as well.
And I think we've got plenty of horror fans in today. Yes, yes. Excuse me, it's a horror convention. Plenty of horror fans in today, yes? Thank you, my friends. We're going to get some questions from these guys. What happens is we've got David. Everyone say hi, David. David's going to go around, so if you do have any questions, please just pop up that hand. We will get to as many of you as we can. I think we've already got some popping up. One of the things I wanted to talk about, first of all, this film, was this your first film? I know you'd worked in dance and what have you previously back in New Zealand, but was this your first film? Was this your first foray into filmmaking?
So I did a Netflix series called Sweet Tooth first, but this was my first film. I'd never done a film before, and even when I was going for the role, when I got the audition, I didn't know I was going for the part of m3gan. I thought I was going for a background character or something. So when I found out that I got the job and that it was for m3gan, I was so thrilled. I was so excited.
And when did it kind of sink in? Because the film was, like I say, I'm not saying it lightly, a new horror icon was kind of. When did you realise, oh my god, this is massive, this is absolutely massive?
So when we were filming on set, we had no idea it was going to be as big as it was and is, because it was a small budget film. We didn't think it was going to do too well. We thought it was going to do well, but we didn't think it was going to be as big as it is. But when I was back home in New Zealand and I woke up one morning, and it was the day that the trailer dropped, and there were so many people recreating the dance dressing up as m3gan, and I was in shock because I didn't realise how big it was going to be, and I was just so happy and honoured to be a part of it.
So you became a horror icon and almost a meme overnight as well.
Yes!
So many people were doing the dances. We're going to get some questions, we're going to bounce around a little bit. I've got a couple more for you. We've got first one over here. Yes? I'll be on in a second. There we go.
Hi Amy. Hi. So I have a question. If there was to be a new m3gan film, would you like it to be an action film or a horror film, or would you like a different genre?
That's a good question. Because of the stunts, I really enjoyed filming the second one for the action. However, I would like to do both action and horror and bring them together, because the horror of the first one was so cool, and I think we need to bring that back. But I would love to keep action because I love doing stunts, so I think it's really fun.
Alright, so you love the physicality, you love the action aspect of it. Oh, that's a great question. And number one, big round of applause for question number one. Have you done that? Yes! If you have any more questions, just pop up those hands, we're going to get to you. David's doing a great job getting around. One of the things I wanted to ask about was certainly when you collaborate to make this character. I mean, I know you've got the background in dance, so you know the physicality, but you're creating something. So I don't like that big picture being there, to be honest. How do you go through the collaborative process? Because like you say, your first time in film experience. How did you go about that with the filmmakers?
So on the first film, I was 11 years old, I think. So I was very little, and I had a movement coach, Jed Brophy. He was amazing, and he had been working on the Lord of the Rings, and so he came in, and we had a lot of conversations with him and the director about how we wanted m3gan to be, because throughout the movie we ended up deciding that at the start of the movie she'd be more rigid like a doll, and then the more time she spends with Katie, the more human-like she would become. So that was really fun to play with, how we would bring Megan to life.
That's awesome, that's awesome. Oh, got our next question, right there.
Hi Amy.
Hello.
From the first film, what was your favourite kill?
Oh, that's a good question. My favourite kill, I think it was with Cynthia the neighbour with the water blaster. I think that was my favourite, but also because I really enjoyed working with Dewey the dog, but that was so sad when we had to get the kill scene of him.
Fair enough, fair enough. I know we've got a couple more questions. One of the things I have to ask, I mean, obviously you've been here, are you a fan of the genre of horror? I mean, I know you're so young and it feels like a weird question to ask, but we'll end up seeing horror movies at some point in our life. Are you a fan of the genre now, or before you even got to now?
So before I filmed Megan, I did not watch horror movies. However, it was actually my friend Kelsey, who lives in New Zealand with me. She got me into the horror movies because whenever I go to her house, she's like, oh, can we please watch this movie? And every single time it was a horror movie. So thanks to her, I became more of a fan of the horror genre.
Awesome. Next question, David.
Hello again.
Hello.
How many hours do you dance per week?
So there was a big point in time where I was dancing for the Dance World Cup in Portugal. So I was training 22 hours a week, I think, for that. But it was such a cool experience to be able to go to the Dance World Cup and perform. But now that I'm filming, I'm not dancing as much because I've got so much other stuff that I have to be doing.
I had to ask, what was the hardest part about playing Megan? Because obviously you're on set for hours and hours. You need to be ready to bring the physicality to it, but of course you need to bring the character as well. What was the hardest part? How did you go about making that happen?
I think there was two elements that were hard for Megan, and one of them was the mask, because I wore a prosthetic mask that went over my face. It was silicone, and it had tiny eye holes to see through them, and it had a little cover over them, so when I was in it and I was breathing, the eyes would fog up and I couldn't see. So what we would do is, before we put the mask on, we'd do a run through so I could count my steps and where I'm going, and then we would put the mask on and then we'd go on to set. But for the second movie, one thing that was very challenging was actually the costumes, because one of them was we called it cyberpunk. It was pink and it lit up. And so we spent ages getting into the costume and I couldn't move very well in it. It took like an hour to get in it, I think. So yeah, it was very challenging.
Cool. I know David, again, there's some more questions there in just a second. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was, you've done this film, it's got a lot of success, people are buzzing about it, and then the call comes for number 2. How does that feel? Because like sometimes you think, oh, maybe they're moving in that direction, but they want you back as a character. How does that feel, and what's the journey to make number 2?
I was so thrilled when I heard that we were going to be doing another movie. I was hoping that we were going to do another one, but we didn't know at the time after filming if we were going to make another film. So when I got the call, I was so excited, and then I had a Zoom meeting with the director, Gerard, and he talked to us about what would be in the second film, and I was so excited to be back, because also there was new characters, so it was fun to work with Ivana, who plays Amelia, and all of the new cast, as well as being able to be reunited with the old cast.
Awesome. Now we got a next question, which is so far in the corner, it's unbelievable. There it is.
Hi, so the dance became worldwide sensation basically. Do you still do it and do you enjoy it?
Yes, I love the dance. I think that was my favourite scene of the first movie. It was my favourite thing to film. But the funny thing about the dance is it was never in the script. It was put in there after obviously because I do dancing outside of filming, and the director kept watching my dancing and how I move, and then he decided, well, would you want to do a dance? And I was like, of course I would. And so it became one of the biggest scenes in the movie, and it wasn't even supposed to be in the movie, but I love it so much and I do it all the time.
No way. I'm not going to ask you to do it today. Although I kind of want to, but I'm not going to. We're going to get some more questions, so if you do have any, just pop up your hands. One of the things I always want to talk about is certainly bringing together that blend of, because like I say, first film, second project. How did you deal with the blend of what you call video, special effects, and obviously are you just sort of totally leaning on the directors, or are they asking you for your input to help all of this come together and bring a character to life?
So m3gan was my first horror, so it was very interesting to see how the behind the scenes actually work for a horror film. But bringing m3gan to life, we were talking a lot about it, especially in the second one as well, because the director really wanted her to be more of her own, like have her own style without picking off of Katie's, because obviously in the first film she was bonding with Katie, learning about Katie and killing for Katie, but this time she was herself. She didn't have to look after Katie, so we had a long chat about what we wanted, and we ended up deciding that we wanted her to be way more sassy. So that was fun to be able to bring that to life. And on set, most of the time, the director would always say, we need her to be more sassy, and it was really fun.
We're going to take a couple more questions. How about David,